It's very difficult to express in words what this feels like, being up here so high above the clouds. I'm back in Poland and filming once again with my dear friend Richard, filming some more Qigong exercises, and once again we've had some fantastic responses from people all around the world to what it is we're doing. Putting free clips on YouTube, and people seem to be enjoying what it is we're providing here. So thank you very much for all of the great feedback and positive comments that you're giving us, and we're going to be creating more and more content over the coming years, and I look forward to doing so. So today, this is the first day properly filming here on my second trip to Poland. What I wanted to talk about first of all is something that comes up very frequently in the work I do with the people that I work with in London, where I live. I work with, on a regular basis, with a group of elderly people in a residential home, and a number of other people who have various challenges, physical challenges. And not only with the people who are either elderly or physically challenged, but everybody, in fact. One thing that we all have in common is that we have to negotiate and learn how to navigate the way we think about who we are and what we're doing, the way we think about the world around us, because the way we think, the kind of thoughts that populate our minds, have a very direct influence over the way we think, over the way we feel, excuse me, and the experience of life that we create for ourselves. So here I am sitting looking out at the clouds beneath us from this wonderful mountain viewpoint, and I thought, what a wonderful metaphor this is. Very often, us human beings, we get troubled by all kinds of things. Negative thinking, self-depreciating thinking, constantly telling ourselves that we're either not good enough, or we can't do this, or we'll never be able to achieve that. I come across this a lot, very, very frequently in the work that I do. So my area of fascination is, it's not about positive thinking. Say to clients on a regular basis, I have no interest in positive thinking whatsoever. But what I do have an absolute fascination about is the eradication of negative thinking, based on the principle that absence of darkness is light. So this is a very open-ended thing, and it can mean a lot of different things to a lot of different people, and I like it that way. So what I'm interested in relation to the practice of Qigong is, yes, it's a physical practice, but it's also a mind art. So the more positively creative we can become in the way we think, and the feelings that those thoughts can evoke in us whilst we're practicing, can really add a complete extra dimension and a richness to the practice, which just doing the physical exercise by itself, whilst thinking, for instance, of what you're going to have for dinner that evening, doesn't really have the same therapeutic benefits as engaging in a practice where you're mindful of the way your mind is functioning whilst you're moving. So when people are troubled, they're cluttered, and that clutter, in a certain way, metaphorically, can be symbolized by the clouds down there in the valley, if you like. But if part of the practice is to elevate one's mind and to cultivate the higher mind and the higher emotions, then maybe consider this when you're practicing, that there are certain simple things that make a big difference, like keeping the top of your crown held upright, like the heavenly roots, like the branches and leaves of the trees reaching up towards the sunlight. And this can have a very positive effect to rise one's mind up and out of the clutter of day-to-day trials and tribulations that everybody has to deal with. So what a wonderful symbol this is about rising up and above the clutter, the clouds, the fog, the mist, the lower self, the troubled self, and getting a clearer perspective on who we are capable of becoming. Being able to breathe this lovely clear air and feel the sunlight, that warm lovely sunlight on the face. In a little while we're going to be filming a silent sequence of seated Qigong for people who have mobility challenges, but not only for people with mobility challenges. In my opinion, when I've been doing the seated Qigong with people, it's usually people either elderly or who have difficulties standing or moving, and yet I've had some of the most profound experiences in my own personal Qigong practice whilst engaging in the seated exercises. So although it may seem that they're predominantly for people who find it difficult walking, that's not strictly the only truth of the matter. I would encourage everybody who's engaging in the practice of Qigong to practice seated Qigong, and maybe pick one or two exercises and just work into them and work into them. And they can be very, very beautiful. The feelings, the sensations, the calmness, the tranquility that can develop through the practice while seated is very special. So I'd like to encourage you to have a look at this in your own practice. So we're going to be filming a silent sequence of seated Qigong, which will be available for people who wish to study. The individual exercises will be described in another location we've already filmed, and then people can study the individual exercises and piece them together in a coherent sequence. The sequence itself should last approximately, I'd say, 20 minutes, depending on the speed and the number of repetitions of each exercise. So if you're sitting there watching this, either on a computer screen or on a television screen, and following along with these exercises, I'd like you to also engage in, with your feeling self, this beautiful panoramic view and the sensation of lifting yourself up and above the troubles or the difficulties in day-to-day life that you may be facing. And for the time that you engage in the practice, let it all go. Raise yourself up and practice with taking in this lovely view as a component part of the feeling that you can generate for yourself whilst following along with the exercises.